Yo, nobody owes you. That is why it is in your best interest to level up, right? The difference between a successful and a failed business is leadership and speed. Now, if you see my eyes darting to the side, it's just me looking at my notes so that I can, stay on track with you guys, right? And of course, before we get into the video, so look, I know you guys have probably seen the black jacket a couple times. I'm just, it's getting hot outside, so I'm trying to keep the fits a little bit more business casual and free flowing. Light blue shirt, sunglasses with the blue tints, black watch, black leather. You could wear this with black pants. You could wear this with white pants. You could wear this with light blue pants. Even gray. Gray would also look good with this combination. Now, let's continue with the topic of the video. So, nobody owes you, right? So many people feel like the world owes them respect, owes them, money, owes them literally anything, right? Like everybody's playing the victim card, right? But the truth is, nobody owes you. And because nobody owes you, it allows you to level up, right? It's in your best interest to level up. But very few people come to this realization, right? Now, if you're the CEO of a business or you're a COO, etc., your main job is to keep everyone accountable for their jobs and their roles, right? Not just for yourself, right? You're supposed to keep everybody else accountable. That's the main aspect of your job. And it's, very few people speak about it, but that is what you're doing. You're making sure everyone is on task. You're making sure everyone is on track. You're making sure everyone is doing their part, because guess what? As you start to scale your business, as you start to scale operations, you're going to realize that some people are going to fall off if you don't constantly talk to them. Some people are going to fall off if you don't constantly remind them of what they should be doing. And a lot of times you can run into a bandwidth issue, right? Because someone like me, when I notice somebody not doing their task, somebody not doing their job, I feel like I have to step in. And then when I step in, that means I'm probably going to do your job for you. But now, if there's a bandwidth issue, that costs us, right? It makes it even harder to write content. It makes it not write content, but let's say the task is writing content and I have to create all this content for you, like scripting it out, but I also have to do my stuff and I also have to do this person's stuff, right? It starts to slow down the entire process because now I'm running into a bandwidth issue, right? If you're the same way as me and you do stuff like that, you're also going to run into a bandwidth issue, and you're also going to realize now things are not hitting the deadline, right? Because somebody else is not doing their job because you're not holding them accountable, right? And so all this stuff comes into play, especially when you rise up to that leadership position, right? Like I mentioned this in a video a few weeks ago. You need to always be relentlessly enhancing your authority and leverage. And that means whatever career field you're in, whatever job you're doing, whether it's your own business or not, you need to always make sure that you're putting yourself in a high leverage and authoritative position, right? Meaning you are becoming a manager. You're becoming, one of the managers. You're becoming the manager of the managers, right? And the reason you want to do that is that's how you increase your income, right? Like you don't keep a base income by staying at the lowest level of the company. You need to do what it takes to get to the next level, right? Like no matter what career field you're in, even if you're a janitor, you need to become the team leader, the team operator, where you're the one everybody answers to and you're the one who gets all the keys to the building, right? Because that's how you get more authority, that's how you get more leverage, right? And when it comes to getting freedom, right, speed equals freedom. Speed is what's going to get you that freedom, right? You don't want to sit around for, let's say, 6 months just meditating and journaling before you act on something, right? You want to take opportunities. You want to take opportunities and you want to live and you want to dive in immediately, right? Whenever I learn something new, I try to implement them that same day, if not the same week, whether it's in my content, whether it's in my, day-to-day schedule, whether it's in my, even at the gym, right? Whenever I learn something new, I try to implement it the same day, if not the same week. If I cannot implement it that week or that day, then obviously I pick a time in a day to implement it as soon as possible, as long as I understand that it's going to be in my best interest to implement what I just learned, right? Tactically, strategically, whatever it may be. And so you need to be the same way, right? Your ability to act and how fast you act will determine how fast results come, right? So your ability to do these things and move at a faster pace and take action at a faster pace, calculate things a little bit faster, right? Process thoughts faster so that you can come to a decision faster is going to push you closer to your definition of success, right? Your definition of whatever your goals are. Very few people can act fast and make the right decisions and make the right calls. And if you can't make the right calls, you still want to make the decision, because that's going to allow you to learn and iterate faster, right? You're going to come to decisions and conclusions a lot faster than other people, right? If I take 6 months to do something, but somebody else takes 6 weeks to do it or 6 days to do it, who do you think is going to succeed faster? Even if it's an absolute wreck for them being able to do it in 6 days gives them a faster feedback loop that they can play with. So now going into the next 6 days, they've already improved. Whereas someone who took 6 weeks, okay, now it took 6 weeks. And then me, if I took 6 months, it took me 6 months to improve, while it took them 6 days to improve, right? So you see how speed starts to implement into speed needs, you see how speed needs to be implemented into your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day tasks, your day-to-day operations, right? Even, I mentioned this in yesterday's video, if not the day before, but some people will take a week to do something that they could do in a day, to do something that they could do in a few hours, in an hour, in 30 minutes, right? But because it's boring or because it's not a priority, they keep pushing it to later, right? So they don't want to do the boring work now, they want to do the boring work later, not realizing that you start to have that same mindset in everything that you do. Not getting things done right now is slowing down your business, it's slowing down your income, it's slowing down your progress, because you're choosing to keep pushing things back, right? And so speed allows you to get faster feedback, right? The faster your feedback loop is, the faster you can transmit that same thing to your team members, the faster your day-to-day operations are going to move, the faster you are going to move. And then, other people is going to be like, damn, how does this guy move so fast? But you understand that it's because your feedback loop is faster than theirs. You're not going to take a week to implement something new. You're not going to take a year to implement something new. Now, if it has to take you a year, right? Let's say you're running a pretty large scale operation and it takes you a year to implement things. Okay, that's understandable. But for most people can't even, let's say some people brag about working 12, 16 hours days, right? That's cool. But how much are you actually getting done that is progressing you and your company and your business and your income forward, right? Very few people can do that. Very few people understand, what hard work really is, right? Some people can work hard, but they're not really doing hard work, right? And it's hard to kind of explain what that is to you, just from my current understanding of it. But very few people can work hard, right? Because they think they're doing a difficult task, so they think it means they're doing hard work. But the task is just difficult for you, right? Hard work and work that's actually producing and work that's actually progressing your company, your income and your business and, your job, even your role, your task forward, that's more or less considered hard work, right? And you're essentially doing this over and over. Now, some people, like, I've worked and I can work 8 to 12 hours or more. Like, even when I was roofing, when I was 17, like, we would work 8 to 12 hour days on a hot roof, wearing long sleeves in the summer, flipping over fiberglass filled insulation boards and spraying hot glue and all that stuff. Like, I've done that, and that's physical labor. And I've also done that, working at a desk in a technical job like this, right? Where I sat straight for like 8, 12, 16 hours, just focusing on specific tasks, getting them done. Right now, obviously, I'm not just sitting there the whole time. Like, you get up, you get food, you do what you got to do. But I'm able to, I'm building that muscle that's allowing me to work long hours without stopping, right? Because I understand that that's what it takes to get to that next level. Very few people are able to do that. So as you start to train yourself and build the muscle of just working harder for long hours while also doing productive work, right? Work that's actually progressing the business, work that's actually progressing your income, work that's actually progressing you, the more crucial of a team member you're going to be, but also the more critical, just having that skill set makes you, right? Because now you're a high producer. And if you're a high producer, you're a high income earner, right? So very few people can just fathom that concept of speed, right? So you need to really adopt this mindset. You don't want to ponder on decisions for weeks and fall into analysis paralysis, right? So this whole process is supposed to be painful, right? Like working 8, 12, 16, 18-hour days is not easy, but some people do it. Some bankers do it, right? Accountants, doctors, plenty of high paying positions have to work long hours, right? And when you're a CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, you're gonna be working longer, right? So very few people understand or even realize that when you become, let's say, the CEO, or when you own your own company, or when you quit your job to start your own business, it's gonna take you a while before you have freedom, right? Because very few people don't, most people don't even realize that they're gonna work long hours, right? Like you're gonna be working longer than the job, right? Your job might have cut off at 8 hours a day, but now that you own your own business, you're gonna be working longer than 8 hours a day, right? Up until it's productive and you're able to step back and let it run on its own, more or less, right? Even with, um, even with the guy that I was speaking to back in Vegas, the billionaire, the main thing he told me was he likes to place operators, right? And you could call them entrepreneurs as well, right? So that's essentially the type of personality I am, like an operator slash entrepreneur. Like I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur because I still have the entrepreneur side of me, but he places people like me inside of businesses that he purchases, right? So, and the way he does this is he purchases the businesses because he understands that majority of business owners, let's say a mom and pop shop, right? They've probably owned that business for 20, 40, maybe even 60 years, and they just want to retire and they just want to sell it, right? And so he buys those businesses and then he places someone like me who understands the operations, who understands how the business functions, and is able to scale that business up, right? So he places someone like me inside of that business in order for it to start producing more and more and more, right? So very few people understand how to do these specific tasks, right? Obviously, I had to learn it, right? You're not just, you know, born to operate, but if you're someone who likes the system side of things and you're someone who likes structure and you're someone who likes to make sure that things work well, then it makes sense, right? Like I like structure, but I'm also able to be creative, right? I'm also able to step out of my comfort zone, right? Very few people who are extremely structured are okay stepping out of their comfort zone, right? They're just, they want to be comfortable in a little bubble, right? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just not me, right? But going back to the concept of speed, you need to adopt this mindset, and this process isn't gonna be easy. It's supposed to be painful because everything you do, all the tasks, all the jobs, the business, just being the CEO, COO, whatever you want to call yourself, like it just has to work once, right? You just have to get it to work once and everything takes off. That's why it's in your best interest to level up, because nobody owes you. Nobody owes you anything. You have to work for everything that you want in order to get a chance at attaining it, right? Because that's the beauty of it, right? It's the fact that no one gets to see how hard you work, right? No one gets to see the level of effort that you put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the hours, the sleepless nights, right? The days where you feel like you barely got any sleep, right? Sometimes it's you have such a deep level of tired in your bones that no matter how many hours you sleep, it doesn't fix it, right? That's a different type of tired that very few people experience. And if you are experiencing it, it's because you are putting in the work, right? You're doing it to get to a goal, whatever that goal may be, right? And so, you know, they don't see how hard you work, but they'll see how good you get. They'll see how you improve. They'll see how you start to look better, how you start to look sharper, how you start to dress better, and you just look and act and behave differently because now your income is rising, right? Now your fitness is on point. Your mindset is on point, right? Your speech is on point. Everything about you is starting to change because you're putting in the work day in and day out to improve and become a better leader, not just for yourself, but for your team, your company, right? Everything, right? Everything encompassed into that, right? And so there is no room for lack of energy in any of this stuff, right? It's gonna take tremendous amounts of energy being spent in order for you to get to that next level, right? To do anything great requires tremendous amounts of energy being spent, right? That's why there is no room for lack of energy in anything that you're doing, right? And so it's understanding that you get to build yourself. You get to build yourself like you get to build your business, right? And the fact that you get to do that makes the journey that much better, that much, you know, that much more of a story that people want to study, want to be like you, right? Like I remember just me dissecting and listening to countless podcast interviews of just different successful entrepreneurs and business owners. And even now, it's something I consistently do because I understand that everybody's story is different. Somebody's always going to be in a worse starting point than you, right? You might feel like you're in a bad situation right now, but somebody else is starting in a way worse situation. There are people who have been in way worse situations than you, and that could be your same age right now, but their income is like 3 times, 10 times, 20 times your income, specifically because they chose to stay consistent when you didn't. They chose to make sure that everything they're doing, they're putting all their energy and effort into when you're not doing that, right? And so that's what it's going to take. That's what it takes to get to the next level, right? And think about all the opportunities that you had to change, but you've denied every single one because you let the inner bitch inside of you win, right? Like I say this in every video. Everyone has that inner bitch inside of you that for some reason, one way or another, he tells you not to go to the gym and you don't go to the gym. He tells you not to get out of bed and then you don't get out of bed, right? He tells you to stop scrolling and you keep scrolling, right? So you're letting him win the battle every single time when you could have won the battle. But it doesn't matter. And the more you say it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, then you realize, oh, 6 months pass by and you're still in the same situation. 5 years pass by and you're still in the same situation. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Think about the people that are in their 60s that regret a majority of their decisions simply because they just let life go by, never really putting effort into anything that they're doing. Think about being in that situation. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. And I'm 22, right? And I've been thinking like this since I was 13, right? So think about that. Very few people, like, I've heard it countless times. Oh, most people your age, they're not doing what you're doing. They're having fun, this and that. But to me, it's like, okay, it's not an achievement, right? And I hear that all the time from, let's say, people that are 10, 20 years older than me. It's like, oh my goodness, I wish I had your mindset when I was your age. I wish I was doing what you're doing at your age. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, what else, right? Like, it's not like it makes me, it doesn't even make me like want to smile because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, am I not supposed to be thinking this way? Like, am I not supposed to be acting this way because I'm, let's say young, right? Quote unquote. So it's one of those things where you just got to love the fact that you get to build yourself exactly like you get to build your business. You get to choose the skill sets that you want to have, right? Like today I was power washing for a friend. So it's one of those things where it's like, I've never power washed before, but I just said I could do it and then I did it, right? And the same motion, I also remembered like that same motion of power washing his, what do you call it? It's the deck. So the deck, the balcony of his backyard. It's not a balcony, but it's the deck and it's like boards, right? So I was power washing that, and it reminded me of when I was spraying glue on top of the roofs before we laid down the rubber on top of the industrial buildings. So it was that same motion. I was like, oh, it's the same exact, motion where you want to make sure that the glue gets everywhere and you want to make sure that it's on point. So the same way with the power washing, you want to make sure that you're power washing each and every little area, ensuring that it looks good and it's clean and it's on point. And I'm someone who's more or less a perfectionist with a lot of things that I do to make sure that it looks good. Not a perfectionist where I just waste time, but I made sure that it was clean. And him and his wife, his wife, because he had to leave by the time I was done, and she was like, oh my goodness, you did a great job, like this looks really, really good. And I was like, thank you. I didn't tell her it was my first time doing it, but hey, like you want to make sure that you have so many skill sets built, so many skills built, not because you're, a pony that can do so many different tricks, but you also don't want to only be a one trick pony, right? You want to make sure that you can do what needs to be done, and you want to make sure that you're able to learn quick, right? I didn't have to tell her that it was my first time. I didn't tell her it was my first time. But when she said, okay, go ahead and take care of it, I just took the power wash and I started cleaning. And then next thing, I was like, oh, I've done something like this before, even though it wasn't power washing, and I did an excellent job, right? So it's like the more skills you stack up, the more of a valuable person you can be. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the best power washing business, but if I wanted to, I could start a power washing business if I get the equipment, right? And I already understand how to grow that business because I'm already helping somebody else grow a business in the same field. So it's one of those things where it's like, now that I know that I can power wash, if anything ever happens, I know that I can start a power washing business. It might take a while for me to get it up and running, but I'm willing to make the phone calls so that I get clients. I'm willing to go knock on doors so that I get the clients, right? Because I understand that whole process. I understand how to get clients. I understand how to stack clients. And I understand how to run and operate a business. So the more skills you have, the more valuable you become, right? In the marketplace, in the world, and that's how your income increases over time. But very few people are willing to do the work and spend the time to learn the skills that are required to get to the next level. So, and yet, even with that, that's why they feel like people owe them. The world owes them some sort of trophy. Respect isn't, like I remember in elementary school, treat people how you want to be treated and respect everyone. Okay, that's fine, right? You want to make sure you treat people how you want to be treated and respect for everyone. But respect isn't free, right? Respect is earned. Like as you age, you start to realize, a lot of people do stuff that's not respectable, right? And some people might say, how you make your money, do whatever it takes to make your money. But not every income stream or not every way that you can make money is respectable, right? There are natural industries that people just don't respect. Me personally, there's plenty of industries that are booming industries. I just don't respect them. So I'm not going to respect someone in that industry the same way I would respect somebody else in a different industry. That's not to say that, I'm going to disrespect them as a person, but I'm not going to respect your job, or I'm not going to respect the way you're earning money because of what you're choosing to do to earn that money, right? So respect is earned and you get to decide, right? Like one way of automatically earning respect is how you look, right? So how you dress, how you talk, how you walk, your fitness level, right? Like I saw this meme. It was like, when you're fat, everything you do just looks worse, right? Even though it's a skinny person, if a skinny person's eating a salad, okay. You see a fat person eating a salad, part of you is like, ugh. Like even though they're eating a salad, you're like, ugh. You see a fat person drinking, just let's say they're drinking whatever it is in public, right? Like let's say it's a bottle of not water, so anything other than water, right? You just see them with a big bottle or even a gallon. If they're drinking it, you're like, ugh. It's just like, ugh, what is that, right? But if it's anyone else who's not fat doing it, you don't think twice about it. But the moment you see someone who's fat just doing something, it just looks worse because they're fat. Even if they're doing something, even if they're a mechanic working on a car, right? Because they're fat, it just looks worse, right? That's just what it is, right? Now, a lot of people might deny it, but that's just the case, right? And so you got to love the fact that you get to build yourself just like you get to build your business. And, you've had countless opportunities already. So stop lacking, it's in your best interest to level up. And you must play the game until you win. Like you must play the game until you win and become a winner amongst winners, right? And it's not a game that stops. It's a game until you die. So you must play the game until you die, right? You must become exceptional mentally, physically, financially, right? At every stage and in every area of your life, right? Because it's absolutely necessary, especially if you want to become exceptional. So that's it for this one, guys. I'll see you on the next one.